Limestone University, WCZQ, Gaffney's Hot FM, and the Gaffney Ledger present the Candidate Forum. Tonight's forum features candidates for County Council in Districts 1, 3, 4, and 6. This forum is presented as a public service of WCZQ and the Gaffney Ledger without commercial interruption. And now, here's your moderator, Dennis Fowler.
Thank you and good evening and welcome to the Candidate Forum 24 of the County Council candidates. I'm Dennis Fowler, and on behalf of the Gaffney Ledger and WCZQ, we thank you for joining us. We also want to thank our audience here at Limestone University at the Hines and Reagan Center. We would like to thank Limestone University, its staff, and of course all of those involved in setting up tonight, including Charles Wyatt, and of course its new president, Nathan Copeland, for inviting us to have this forum here. It is an informative forum. It is not commercially interrupted. No advertising has been sold for this event. It is strictly for a public service informative program. Those featured tonight and the candidates, not all candidates are here, but in the District 1 race is Lyman Dawkins and Teresa Bonner. Bonner is not with us tonight. In the District 3 race, Clay Little, the incumbent, and Donnie Harden. In District 4, Tim Spencer, the incumbent, and Steph Smith. And in District 6, David Smith and Greg Patterson. Mr. Patterson is not with us tonight. You will hear them in an order that was chosen by lottery just before we went on the air tonight, and they will appear in that order. That is not in alphabetical order, but it is also not in the districts that they're in, but it's in an order that we will begin the questioning in the numbers 1 through 7 tonight, and we want to tell you, or 6 tonight, and we want to tell you that will rotate depending on the numbers. The first question will go to the answer that will be first by number 1, and then the next question will be number 2, and so on. They will have 1 minute and an opening statement coming up. There will also be 1 minute to answer those questions. None of the questions have been directed at any one person. All the questions are general questions to be answered. There will be a 1 minute closing statement from each of the candidates during this hour. Asking the questions tonight will be Abby Sussman, the associate publisher of the Gaffney Ledger, and also Larry Hilliard, who is a reporter for the Gaffney Ledger. Time will be kept by the Ledger publisher, Cody Sussman, and of course we have gone over the rules with each of the candidates tonight, and again we thank you for your attendance. We will begin with the opening statements, and starting with the number 1 candidate that drew number 1 this evening, and that's Mr. Donnie Harden.
I'm Donnie Harden. I've been a lifelong resident of Cherokee County. My wife is Lori Byers Harden. I have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. I spent the first 30 years of my life in the city limits of Gaffney and the last 30 years in the rural part of Macedonia community. I have a desire to be on county council in order to lead us into the future. We've tried to practice that at the Board of Public Works and trying to get us ready for everything. All the growth is coming, and I think county council is behind. I don't think we're ready. And so that's my reason for running for county council.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harden. And number 2 is David Smith.
Good evening. My name is David Smith. I am married to Jennifer Turner Smith. We have 3 children. Turner is a sophomore, will be a sophomore at Clemson University. I have Trevor at Gaffney High School, and Taylor finished up Gaffney Middle, so she's going to be at Gaffney High School. I am the incumbent in District 6. I first ran in 2016. I took over for Hope Parrish, who had served for 28 years. I wanted to keep that type of individual in that seat, which was one that was a Christian, that had high integrity, that had high character, and that was going to move the county forward. And I know we've done that the past 8 years, and that's what I want to continue to do in this next term.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Next, Tim Spencer.
I'm Tim Spencer. I'm actually the chairman of the county council, and I'm married to Katrina Phillips, which was Olin Phillips' daughter, if some of y'all remember him. I have 2 beautiful kids, 2 girls, 2 grandkids. I've been elected for 20 years. I ran a special election beforehand and won it, and I've been the chairman for 15 years. And to be honest with you, this county is starting to move forward since I took chairmanship. And I don't know if I have enough time to explain that, Dennis, but I will in my closing arguments.
All right, thank you. Steph Smith.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Steph Smith, and I am running for the County Council District 4. I have been a public servant before. I know many faces in here and enjoyed sitting in additional living rooms and on front porches. And, you know, at the end of the day, our county and our communities are at a turning point that we've never really seen before. I really feel that with the national political scene, with inflation at an all-time high, it is more important and more imperative than ever that local governments look after their citizens, spend accordingly, provide the needs and the services that our citizens pay with our taxpayer funds, and honestly just make the best decisions in the best interest of all of our citizens as a whole. So as a public servant, I would enjoy that opportunity to do that again for our citizens, for our county departments and employees, and also the businesses within Cherokee County. My husband and daughter are here, probably in the back because that's where my husband always likes to sit. But they are here supporting me, and I'm grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Wade Little.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Limestone for providing this venue for us. It's a beautiful building, and I like to see it. Second, I'd like to thank WZZQ and the Gaffney Leisure for hosting this event. And third, I would like to thank the employees of the county for, if not for them, we would have no business sitting up here. They implement what we ask for them to do and bring this county forward. Speaking of going forward, there's a lot of issues facing the county. We've always talked about 85 being the natural growth to the area. Well, that's happened. With the 3 lanes on each side, we have looked at implementing zoning. I got 15 seconds. So anyway, I appreciate everybody being in. I'll speak a little more.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Lyman Dawkins.
Yes, it is definitely an honor to be here amongst the constituents and the rest of the candidates here. Our community stands at a crossroads, facing challenges that demand decisive actions and innovative solutions. Tonight, as we gather to discuss the future of our county, I ask you to consider one fundamental question. What kind of future do we envision for Cherokee County? I see a future where our county, where our economy strives, where every resident has access to opportunities that enables them to succeed. I believe in Cherokee County, where growth is balanced with sustainability, where progress is inclusive, and the well-being of every citizen is our top priority. I believe in listening to the voices of all members of our community, because true progress can only be achieved when we work together. In the coming weeks and months, I look forward to engaging with you to discuss the issues, the matters that matter most to you in our county. Let's continue to work together to shape the vision of Cherokee County that reflects our shared values. And tonight marks the beginning of a journey towards a brighter, more prosperous future for Cherokee County.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins. Now we begin the questions, and with the first question, here's Abby Sussman.
We switched that.
Oh, you switched it?
Yeah.
All right, well, the first question, here's Larry Hager.
There is currently major overcrowding of inmates at the county detention center. Well, where do you see this on council's priority list?
And beginning with the answers, Donnie Harden.
Well, where do I see it now? I don't see it on the list. The detention center has been on the map for a number of years and decades, and the current county council has been very complacent. The majorly overcrowded. I actually took a tour of the facility this past Monday. There's over 300 inmates in there, and it's only built for 150. And one of the problems is that most of those people in there have not been convicted of a crime. Now, they may be, but they're not yet. They're waiting trial, or they're waiting to make bond, and you've got all kinds in there. And it's just almost inhumane to see the way that those people are kept. They're sleeping on the floor in a plastic tray. The trays have to be put up every day so they can walk around because it covers the floor. I think county council has neglected to do anything in that area, and it's time we did something. And the detention center people now are making $20 an hour, while in Spartanburg they're starting off officers at $53,000.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. David Smith.
The jail is definitely a problem. County council has done things. You know, it takes money to do things. We do need a new jail, there's no doubt about it. But we're going to have help from the federal government, state government, and then local government. And, you know, we may have to raise taxes to get a jail, or we may have to put forth a referendum and let the people decide on that. But it's not, again, a question of if, it's going to be when. And we do have to do that. You know, we serve the administration, and we aren't day-to-day. So when we have conversations with Mervin, our administrator, and he has conversations with the sheriff, that's where that goes. You know, and we're gonna set policy and we'll do what we need to do for the jail. But yeah, there's a problem. You know, the problem happened in 91 when it was built for 150 inmates. It was built too small before it was even there. And we do that a lot in this county, unfortunately. You know, we build schools too small. I'm an educator, been in it for 26 years, so it's happened. And that jail was built too small. Next mistake can't be too small. It's gotta be large enough.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Tim Spencer.
Yes, sir. The sheriff department is a big part of this county, and we're trying our best right now to implement raises so we can keep employees, sheriff, not only sheriff, but all county employees. We're trying to implement that. The last meeting, we actually spoke about putting bunk beds in. So we're gonna take the bunk beds, and then when we build a new facility, the sheriff ensured us that we could take those bunk beds and put in the new facility. So that is, I'm not gonna say it's number one priority. Right now, number one priority is trying to get our raises up to where our employees will stay with us, because we're losing employees. It's very important daily. So, yes, it is a very important issue.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Steph Smith.
Thank you for the question. I think in order to even address this issue, you have to look at the source. And, you know, the fact is our courthouse, we need a new courthouse, we need a new jail. Whenever you look, I mean, you can talk to the court employees, you can talk to anyone involved with it. If there is superior court going on, there is virtually no other courtroom for court to happen in, okay? So that causes a delay for these court cases to be handled. Just as Donnie said, a lot of these people that are inmates at our jail are waiting for their court dates. So I think you have to address the issue, and you have to be forward thinking with it too. Whenever you look at even building a new courthouse, which does take money, you know, that would help resolve a lot of the issues with the backlogs, having those resources for our public defenders, which they are legally entitled to those rights. Also our solicitor's office, having all of that as a priority, I think fixing that kind of causes a chain reaction to help us address that.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Wade Little.
This is a very serious issue, but the issue is why is our population so high? I looked at a graph, and Cherokee County has 200% above its population. The next closest county was at like 160. In comparison, other counties have 150. I think Lancaster County has right around 150, and they're below that number. The problem is with the court system. We have to find a way to get these people through trial and move them out of ours. We're not a holding facility for years for these inmates. There's many inmates that have been in there for years. Well, back in January, the solicitor came to us and asked, could we start a transfer court? And he explained to us that it would move some of the inmates out. When we brought that before council, it was unanimously a pass. And today, I think they've moved out 63 inmates. So it is working, but the main problem is, like been said, we have to address the court system and find how to get these people through.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Mr. Dawkins.
Well, I think I heard that we have been looking at state and maybe federal funding for this. And this is a safety problem, not only just for the inmates, but the people that work there. So we definitely have to get on board. We're doing something. I don't know if we have looked at some of the existing structures that we already got here, maybe some of the schools or other things. But we need to look for the future and definitely move quicker than we have in the past to solve this problem.
Thank you, sir. Now we move to the second question from Abby.
The contracted EMS service has had numerous issues, from failure to properly maintain adequately staffed ambulances, some even having to be taken out of service, which frequently leaves a void in county coverage. Do you feel the county should operate its own EMS service?
That's a tough question there. That would take a lot of money to do that. It'd take employees, and my own, more employees. It costs the county more in that situation. You know, when I first got on council, the hospital system was over the ambulance service. And then when the hospital was sold, that contract was null and void. So then, you know, we took it over, and then we sent out contract, and then that's what we did. And it was a low bid the first time around. It really hadn't been a successful venture since we started this. But at the end of the day, we have got to provide EMS service for our citizens. I mean, that is safety, and we gotta have it, and it's gotta be competent. The company's gotta be competent. You know, the problem sometimes, you know, you only get one or two, well, at least two, outbidding for it. You know, there's not a lot of choice in that situation. But if that's something the county was gonna take on, it would take a lot more resources and funding to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Tim Spencer.
Yes, Ms. Hackett, that is a big concern in Cherokee County. My phone rings almost daily about an ambulance service. Me and Mr. Little have actually went to fire chief meetings and expressed our concern. I think that this time that probably when their contract comes due this year, it'll be rebid. Whether it be go under the county umbrella, I can't say that. But, you know, if someone comes out and needs an ambulance and they're having a heart attack, they pay the ultimate price if they lost a life. And then Mr. Filer's gonna go sue them. But, you know, that's one of our main concerns right now is trying to get protection for this county.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Stephanie Smith.
Hey there, I think that in a perfect world, the answer would be yes, because then we can control, we can staff properly and take care of a lot of those issues that they are having. I mean, at one point I even reached out to our state house representatives because we have people that the current ambulance service, non-emergency, has contracts for, is being paid for to pick up and take to doctor's appointments, people who can't go on their own because they may be bound to wheelchairs and stuff. And unfortunately, I feel personally that the contract with the current EMS company does not have enough teeth in it. Yes, they can be fined if they're understaffed. Yes, those fines accrue, but if no one is enforcing that, if we're not sending that bill to them, I think that is part of the issue. With the proper resources and the proper pay and everything, I think we actually absolutely could, and I think that should be on the county. They need, our citizens need services that they can depend on, and right now we do not have that.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Quite little.
The EMS service is the most important service that we provide at the county. We have chosen a contract method at this point. Bringing it under the county umbrella is not out of the question. It will cost 2.5 times what we're paying now, which is $1.9 million. We can raise millage to make that happen. And I think if the citizens continue to see what's going on with the service, they would be more than happy to take that tax increase. The main problem was when we first structured this, we had an advisory committee. And we thought with the advisory committee that we would get information and the fines would be levied and we thought it would work in that way. We've since come to the understanding it hasn't worked. So we have directed our administration to stay in contact with Thorne Ambulance Service in regards to how many ambulances are online, and if they're not, they're going to be fined. And since that has been taking place, we have 5 and 6 ambulances as opposed to having 4 and 5. So we're moving the right way.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Lyman Dawkins.
Yes, I think the perfect answer would be yes, we would invest with it into that, but we have already quickly heard a priority list saying that we need courthouses, jails, and I would think that we could review Thorne and see if we can come up with some kind of agreement on how to improve the service that we have already paid for with them. Now I do know that with emergencies and maybe some natural disasters, we do have a collaboration with neighboring counties. So the question is, how adequate or not adequate is people being served? And if we can, come to an agreement with Thorne to do what they have told us they would do, that would be the right answer. But we have to look at this priority list, because we all know we can't do everything at one time. So, my answer would be, let's work with Thorne and see what we can do. And if they can't answer the call, we get with someone else, or.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins. Mr. Harden.
Well, having volunteered with the Macedonia Volunteer Fire Department for 35 years and serving 8 years as a commissioner, I can tell you a lot about the shortcomings of the present and the prior ambulance service in Cherokee County. I don't believe that we can rely on a low bid, for-profit, private company to provide emergency ambulance service for this county. We need to bring in EMS in-house, and we need to have control over the personnel they have and the way they operate. And I believe if we look at the insurance receipts, benefits that we can file with the insurance and with patients, I think we can make that work without spending an arm and a leg. EMS services do cost us a lot of money, but those are human lives, and you can't put a price on that.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. The next question, Larry Hitter.
Do you favor privatizing trash pickup in the county, charging a fee to continue the county pickup, or continuing to provide the service at no charge for county residents?
And that question will first be answered by Jim Spencer.
At this time, I don't think we should privatize, because that's one thing that the county does offer for the city and the county, free of charge. If somebody tells you that's a pickup fee, that's not true. That's actually free. We're the only county in South Carolina that still offers free trash pickup. Do I think it needs to improve? Yes. My phone rings off the hook for people that put trash cans in the middle of the driveways, that turned them over, they left the tops off of them. We definitely need to improve what we got, but, right now we're doing the best we can, because we have so many priorities and things going on in this county. But it's still free.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Stephanie Smith.
Currently our county pickup is estimated to cost $2.8 million. I think that's actually what was in the budget line for last year, and that's not including an additional trash truck that was purchased for $260,000. So we are the only ones left, the only county left in the entire state that does this, and unfortunately the county is not required to do that. I personally feel that we have to support if we're going to continue this, we have to support with the best resources, take care of our employees. They're out there, and I know many of y'all probably saw my post a few weeks ago, it's pouring down rain, 50 degrees, and they're out there doing our trash service. That's a job that not very many of us would be doing, okay? I think that probably the best solution, if you did privatize it, that would lower costs, and that would allow private companies to be more competitive, and I think as citizens we'd get more bang for our buck. But until that happens, that's a long process down the road to even really talk about that. I think that you offer the trash pickup fee, you offer a $10 a month fee like what was originally proposed,
Thank you,
and
Ms.
then
Smith.
an option to opt out.
Thank you. Wait a little.
Well, everybody in the room knows how I feel about a fee, when it's already in the taxes that you pay. It does cost a lot to do it, but we pay for it in our taxes. And there's no way if we were to privatize it that the price would not be $40 or $50 a month for pickup. So it does cost a lot of money, but the council has always worked to ensure that service goes forward and is dependable. Is there hiccups? Yes. There's hiccups in everything you do. The labor crisis that's went on in the last 2 or 3 years has set us back on prompt services as regards to picking up the trash. But I will say this, the businesses took a hard look at this and said, what would they get from their taxes? Well, we also do recycling. And if you're a residential, you're paying for that too, as the business is paying for the garbage pickup. So I think there's a balancing act there. And I just don't believe in charging fees for something that's already in the taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Little. I'm Dawkins.
Well, it's definitely a valued benefit to the residents. And, you know, that's kind of a tricky question there. I don't believe in raising tax. I'm not a tax hawk. But I also got common sense to know that if we want something, there comes a time that you might have to pay for it. Now, I wouldn't want to pay $40 a month, and I think I heard $10 a month. I don't know, maybe we could do it at $5 a month. But when you value something, at some point, you do have to pay for it. And that, if we privatize it, I don't know how our litter situation would get worse or better, but I'm looking at that too. And I know we do have a problem with litter. So my answer would be yes, if we have to pay a fee, then maybe we need to look at that because we do have other priorities.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins. Lonnie Harden.
That is not a service that we have to provide, but we do. A lot of people have come to rely on it. And trash pickup is a big, popular thing in the county in Cherokee. The problem we've got is it costs about $2.8, $2.9 million to do it. And last year, we paid it out of our reserves. You can't use non-recurring money on a consistent basis to pay for recurring expenses. So yes, we do have to look at how to pay for it, whether that be a fee or whether it be a possible increase in taxes to do it. It's got to be paid for. And the biggest thing about it is people need to have a way to get out of it. If you don't want the trash pickup, you should be able to opt out. And we do have the equipment to make that possible on the trucks. They tell you where the trash cans at on those trucks. And they can take that and pick up for who wants to pay the fee if there's a fee, or the tax covers it, but you can't keep taking out non-recurring funds that you got reserves for. But we did that this year. My guess is because it's a political election.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. David Smith.
This was a divisive issue. It was 4-3 for the first two votes, and I was in favor of it, and then it was 7-0 against. I don't have time to get into that, but there's three issues of trash. You can keep it the way it is, and it's going to keep costing 2.8, 2.9, 3 million, 3.5, because all those houses are going to be built. We're not going to have enough trucks. We're not going to have enough people to do it, okay? Or you can privatize it. It will cost $40, $50, $60 a month. You will have to pay that because the county will be out of the trash business, okay? We still have convenience centers, and you can take your own trash, or you pay somebody to do it, all right? Or we can charge a fee, and then we'll be able to sustain it. $5 would pay for half of it, 10 would almost pay for all of it. But you know, we're the only county in the state that does it. We've done it for over 30 years. We're also the only state in the union that does their own buses too. You know, just because you've done something for a long time does not mean that it's the right thing to keep doing it that way. So again, we need to look at the issue, but there's going to come a time when the county can't afford to do it. So we got to be prepared for that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. With the next question, Abby Sossman.
Do you support zoning as outlined in the comprehensive plan that was recently completed? If so, to what extent?
First answer coming from Steph Smith.
I do agree with zoning to some extent. With the comprehensive plan, looking at even the proposed maps and everything, I think that it does need some tweaking. At the end of the day, there is nothing stopping practically any business from coming in as far as the county goes. Now, the city has their own zoning and their own zoning committee, zoning commission, and all of that. You know, but at the same time, it's a lot of people I know have been scared for years, and that's what I've heard. Even some of the candidates on at this very forum has said, we can't bring up the Z word because that will make people go crazy, will not get their votes. But I think with Dollar Generals coming in and other businesses coming in and not having any control, any say-so, virtually no say-so over anything, that absolutely has to be a priority for us. A lot of us don't realize that literally across the county, any operation can come in and there's nothing that the county can really do. If it meets the land development regulations, then that's really the only bar that has to be met.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Clay Little.
I'm just happy that the council recognized that zoning is a crucial issue in this county. I've sat on council for years where, like Steph said, zoning was, you didn't bring it up. But with the growth that's coming, the most important thing we can do is try to control it. Zoning gives us better options to do so. If anybody pulls up a building for sale or a commercial building in Cherokee County, the first thing that's written at the top is no zoning. That sends a hard message about where we're at. So we paid a company $250,000 to implement zoning in this county. It should be done by the first of next year or the end of this year. When those details come, we're gonna try to do it in the areas where the people want it. If you don't want it in Corinth or Draytonville, but you want it in Grassy Pond and Macedonia, we're gonna try to work together to make sure we get what the people in those areas want.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Lyman Dawkins.
Yes, I definitely believe in zoning. Gaffney is known for its natural beauty, and the growth is coming. And me, I believe we got to have a plan, we gotta have a vision of what we want Gaffney to look like in the future. And I think zoning is part of that. I know in the past that was taboo, but I believe with, again, like Steph said, the Dollar General is coming in. We definitely got to have a plan the way we want our county to look for the present and for the future. So yes, we definitely, I think, need to explore it.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins. Donnie Harden.
Well, I've heard all my life that one day Gaffney was gonna grow. Well, it's here, and we're not ready for it. Most of the people who spoke said it hadn't been done for years because it's politically not a good idea to say the Z word. But the problem is, it needs to be done because people's property is being devalued. Right now, there is no way to stop anything, basically, that wants to move into this county as your neighbor. We've got to control the growth that's coming. We cannot let it control us. And because of the politics of it, we've got to the point now that I'm glad the county is actually looking at it, but it's too little to stop the things that are already here or already coming.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. David Smith.
Zoning is a double-edged sword. You know, I own land and I want to sell it, make a profit. Whoever comes in, hey, that's okay. But my neighbor, you don't want that business beside him. You know, what we don't want in Cherokee County is a Bowling Springs, South Carolina. You know, we drove through there the other day, and it's awful. You got all the businesses on top of the homes, and that's what we don't want. You know, we want to protect our communities, but yeah, there has to be a system in place. And we do have to look closely at zoning. We got to look at the comprehensive plan and make sure that's what we need. And Clay mentioned it. All communities have different feelings about it. You know, and growth goes toward 85 and north of 85. So people are going to think differently. But at the end of the day, you know, no one wants you to tell them what they need to do with their land. But at the same time, zoning will protect us all if it's done correctly.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Tim Spencer.
And like Mr. Little said, we paid $250,000 to try to get this zoning in place. But what we're trying to do is put zoning where people want zoning, because in the rural areas, we should have had zoning to stop the Dollar General that Ms. Steph's talking about. But at that time, we didn't have zoning, but maybe by next year, we should have zoning. And you know, is it gonna affect the whole Gaffney area? That's why we're doing the comprehensive plan.
All right, thank you, Mr. Spencer. As we continue, the next question with Larry Hilliard.
I think this was already mentioned previously, but we are losing a lot of county employees. What do you think we can do to help keep some of these employees?
First answer goes to Clay Little.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. Well, first off, it is a serious issue, and we try to give the employees cost of living raise. We've done that for years in the regards of a percentage. About 4 years ago, I was talking with fellow councilmen, and we all agreed to do a nominal amount, such as $1, 50 cents, 75 cents, which gave the lower paying jobs a higher percentage raise than the other. and it started working that way. Well, when COVID hit, that threw everything off. It put us in behind the 8 ball, more or less. But I am pleased to say there's no one in the county that makes less than $15 an hour. So we're moving the right direction. It's just hard to do tax raises to give people pay raises, and it's a balancing act. But I will say the culture of the county and the benefit package we have is one of the big draws to retaining people.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Lyman Dawkins.
Yes, I would think pay is a big thing in your retention rate of people, but, also I would look at our benefit package, and I think we are doing that, looking at maybe, the health, the medical benefits and, other benefits that could offset just having a, straight increase on the hourly rate. But if we want, good employees, we gotta look at every possible avenue to, retain those.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins. Donnie Harden.
Well, for years, the county's been a training ground for every other county, and as far as the, and businesses here. Part of the reason for that is because of the low wages. You can pay a good salary and a fair benefit package and still have low rates and low taxes. The Board of Public Works has proved it can be done. We pay ours a fair wage and a good benefit package, and very rarely do we lose anybody. We know that the employees that we have are the front line for our service, and service is the only thing that the county or the board, either one, provides for citizens. We don't sell anything, we don't make any gadgets, we sell service. And what we need is employees. You'll keep and retain employees, you'll get a more valuable service for the public, if you have employees who are respected, appreciated, and paid a fair wage. And they will enjoy their job, and they will stay with you, and you'll have experienced employees performing those tasks.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. David Smith.
We have great county employees, and it's not just about money. I mean, benefits are important. We did start a longevity action plan, if you want to call it that, several years ago. That was my first term, to reward people for staying here for a long time. But the problem with longevity is for the rookies that come in. You know, you gotta be here a little while before you get that pay bump. And we're fighting Spartanburg County, or fighting York County. Same thing happens in education. I go to Spartanburg County, make more money. I go to York, make more money. Fortunately, we have a lot of employees that want to make this place better. So they stay and they sacrifice. But sure, we need to get the raise up. We need to get the cost of living up. I mean, with inflation going on, I mean, it's just hard for everyone. You can't go out and eat cheaply now. Our family of 5, it's 60, 70 bucks, and that's fast food. Okay, that's not a sit down and get a steak. So this is a big issue, but again, you know, it's money, and we don't want to raise taxes for that purpose, but at the same time, you've got to take care of your people.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Tim Spencer.
Well, Dennis, the administrator brought a balanced budget to us this year with a great benefit package, but it also only included $1 an hour raise. Well, I've been the one that's been pushing for $2 on the hour raise for all the county employees. The sheriff has a hard time keeping employees. We got some very valuable sheriff deputies out there, and you know, whenever they can leave and go to Spartanburg and make $10,000 more, they're going to. So it's a big thing in the county here. It's like Mr. Smith said, we don't want to raise taxes for our employees, but we've got to take care of our employees if we're going to have good employees. And I've been pushing for $2 right now. It's kind of in a standstill, but I'm still pushing for $2 on the hour bar.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Steph Smith.
I think, I want to say that I don't think there's any reason that we cannot be competitive with pay for our county employees. You know, you have different things. I know the sheriff has come before county council multiple times asking for better wages, asking for even additional deputy positions and things like that. Unfortunately, there is a little bit of a power struggle going back and forth with some people on council and the sheriff. Unfortunately, all of us as citizens are the ones that pay the price for that. But for me, it's not even just about the pay and the benefits package. It's about the culture. It's about the atmosphere. It's about employees feeling intimidated. that may have even left the county, making good money in the eyes of others, but feeling intimidated, positions that are being weaponized, promises being made, oh, it's coming, we're gonna look at it for the next year. Our county employees do not feel like that, and I will say that there is a tremendous fear that county employees have even to speak up or to speak out whenever they're put in those positions, or they're told by council members, instructed what to do with their job. So it's very real reality for our county employees.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. And now the next question, Abby Sussman.
Do you support continuing to offer tax and other incentives to industries considering locating in Cherokee County?
And to answer the question first, Lyman Dawkins.
Yes, I support tax incentives. We need as many new economies, industries coming in, whether they're technology, healthcare, uplifting what we already have. But the more industries we get in, that's a tax base that we need, that we have talked about, where the rubber's gotta hit the road sometime. So yes, I do agree that we need to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins. Donnie Harden.
Yes, we do need to do that. We need to particularly go after manufacturing jobs. Warehousing is good, distribution is good, but they don't create the kind of jobs that your children can work at and go to a place where they can make a really good salary in manufacturing. You gotta have manufacturing. We've lost some manufacturing recently. Hopefully that doesn't continue. We've lost it in 2 locations. But we've got to recruit manufacturing to come here so that we can increase jobs, the number of jobs, the salary levels, and give a place for our children to look to go. I hate the thought of my children going somewhere else to work. If they can find a job here, they prefer to stay here. And yes, we do need to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. David Smith.
Yeah, taxes fee in lieu, I mean, that has to happen. We've even offered our own local businesses incentives that are going to invest $10 million or more dollars. But Cherokee County fights with Spartanburg County for manufacturers and other business industry. South Carolina fights other states. So it's a tough business, but since January 1st, 2017, we've brought in $1.5 billion economic development in Cherokee County, okay? 2,600 jobs in that amount of time. And all that can be attributed to those taxes and those fees that we give businesses incentives to come here in the first place. So that's something that has to keep going on, because the more we have in, the less taxes can be on our citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Tim Spencer.
I totally 100% support incentives, because that fee in lieu of tax agreement brings jobs in there. Brings not only, like Mr. Harden talking about warehouse, but we do have some manufacturers coming in. That's the big thing in Cherokee County. That's why they look at Cherokee County the way they do, because we have such a tax incentive for them. Me and Mr. Smith just flew to a place last Friday. I can't disclose what it is, but it looks like it's gonna be a plus here.
Not on the county's dollar.
No, the ability dollar. But it was a great thing, and the paid salary is $37.17 an hour. So, you know, if Cherokee County can land that, that's a big thing. Win. Yeah, win.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Dev Smith.
I don't think we really have an option to not offer it. Fortunately, we are placed strategically almost in a perfect location on the I-85 corridor. Everyone sees DHL and all these other businesses that are coming. Change is inevitable. You know, it is, and we can either fight it and we can resist it, or we can accept it and say this is how we're going to make the adjustment. Development is happening. You know, unfortunately, having an 11-year-old daughter, a lot of times, you know, we have friends who said, you know, my daughter went off to college and didn't come back. And I just can't help but think that we have to offer those incentives in order to have good jobs, good viable careers right here in Cherokee County, to where our children come back. They have more than livable wages. They have a good quality of life. So absolutely, I am in favor of that. I support that. And what better place than where we are strategically located on the I-85 corridor?
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Quay Little.
Well, thank goodness the state allows the county to do what they need to do in terms of fee and lieu's. Our trigger point is 2.5 million. Each one on council appoints a person to the Economic Development Board. And like the numbers Mr. Smith quoted all, that's what they do. They bring in this industry, and I 100% support giving fee and lieu's. I also supported moving the fee and lieu at this present time to help the school system. At the time when I came back, I think we were at 70-30. Well, we made a move to go to 50-50. So we take that money and we invest into our infrastructure, our fire department. We do a lot of good with that money. I will say this, the fee and lieu is critical in this community. The only one that I'm sure of, I think of now, is a Chinese-based company. The state does not want to recognize them with any incentives, and that would be the only one.
Thank you, Mr. Little. And now the next question, Larry Hibby.
I guess I'm gonna pat Cody Sussman on the back for this one, but he did a very good story about how much savings all these local governments have. And it seems like we have a lot of things to be doing here. How do you think we should use some of the reserve funds that the county has?
Donnie Horton.
I think they need to be used for most of these things we've talked about tonight. One is that we need to use them to help, initially, to help bring some of the salaries up. We need to use them to finish some of the facilities that we're looking at. The problem is we can't continue to use those. Those funds, we need to keep about $15 million in based on the average size of the county's budget for a good business. They have over $30 million. So there's money there to do some of these things with, but there will be seed money to get it started. You can't continue to use reserve funds to fund things that are ongoing.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. David Smith.
Yeah, we have several projects, obviously, that we need to take hold of, and we've already talked about the jail, but we don't have enough money in the account to pay for a jail. We're gonna need help to do that. Same thing with the courthouse. It's just not patchy here, Dennis, but coroner's office. We're gonna need a new coroner's office. So we might do that. Recreation, hopefully that'll be a question soon that hasn't come up yet, but we need to do more recreation in this county. That's a correlation to keeping kids, I mean, you can say off the streets or, whatever you wanna, whatever analogy you wanna put there, but it's a proven fact, if our quality of life can improve, that's what we need to do, okay? So, I'm in favor, we do have to keep so much in the account, you have to. We say before for rainy days, sometime I thought, man, we're waiting on a hurricane or tornado, what are we waiting on? What type of rainy day are we waiting on? But you have to be smart, it's people's money, okay? You just shouldn't spend it however you wanna spend it, but again, that's where council, we have to be on the same team there and discuss these things and listen to our constituents and go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Tim Spencer.
Dennis, I wholeheartedly support, like Mr. Harden said, we need at least 15 million in the bank at all times. If there's a tornado or a hurricane comes through here, Cherokee County's gotta be prepared for that. Because if people can't work, they can't pay taxes. So somebody's gotta float that, somebody's gotta be able to pay that year taxes so this county can still run. Well, that's why we have such a surplus. Because, like he said, a rainy day, if something like that happens, what we're gonna do if we're broke? So Cherokee County is a blessed county to have what we have. And we've been blessed as council members to serve like bankers, I guess you'd say. So we have got that surplus.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Steph Smith.
I think that there's a lot of different things that can be done. I honestly think of those funds as an investment. So whenever you even look at our recreation district, by investing funds in there, by expanding our recreation district and their facilities, that causes more tournaments. Whether it's volleyball at the Broad River building that was purchased by the county, that really nothing's been done until just this past week whenever it was voted on. I know that's kind of been a battle back and forth. That is an investment, whether it's fields, and I'm not talking about just football, I'm talking about softball, I'm talking about soccer. All of this provides an opportunity to increase tourism, increase hospitality tax revenue. Those are people that would come into our city, come into our county, and spend money, stay there and eat, stay here at our hotels out of town. So in essence, that would be an investment. The other thing I think that I have a problem with is so many people are touting saying, oh, we have all this money in reserves. First off, no one really knew how much that the county had in reserves. I think that that is a great opportunity for transparency. So we need to get that information and let everyone know exactly where they stand.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Clay Little.
Well, it's not 30 million that we have in. That's counting ARP money and a bond. We actually have 22 million. And when you have a 38 or potentially $38 million budget, that to me is a pretty good balance. But I will give credit where credit is due. Our prior administration took upon itself to invest that money in the markets. And from that is how we balance the budget. We have never pulled from the reserve to balance the budget. We'll put it in there as a safeguard, but we never actually use that money. So the investments that he made, or in those previous years, generated 1.5 million. That was what balanced the budget. Well, actually put us ahead 1.5 million. So having a reserve is not a bad thing. It's there in case something happens. So I would love to keep the reserve at a $20 million mark.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Lyman Dawkins.
We have heard various dire needs that we need in the county, from building a new courthouse or adding jails, recreation. What I would think we would do again is to create a priority list and figure out what's the most important thing that we need right now. What's the second most important thing? Do we have enough funds to work on two things? And if so, I would work from a standpoint of there, but it don't appear that we can do everything at one time. So the way I do things is I look at the highest priority and start breaking things down. So that would be what I would look at. I would have to look at some more data for myself to figure out that, with my fellow councilman after I'm voted in, and we could figure that out.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins. With a final question, Abby Sossman.
All right, David, you wanted it.
Hey, yeah, let's do it.
Counties adjacent to ours, like York and Spartanburg, have superior recreational facilities to ours. What do you think we should do to catch up?
David Smith.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have got to build those facilities. We've got to. All three of my children play travel sports. That's one thing. We started hospitality tax, and some people didn't like it. But we go to Atlanta, we go to Charlotte, we pay that extra 2 cents. It goes to build their facilities. So why not, when they come down 85, they need to pay that hospitality tax and help build our facilities too. But the economic development is unreal. The amount that could come through this county through sporting events. And we could build nice facilities, basketball courts, pickleball, we could have that, volleyball, soccer fields, football fields, whatever. But we have to do that. And our kids will still get to use those things, okay? We're not doing this for travel to make money to let all the outsiders come in. That's on the weekends. And it wouldn't be every weekend. But we've got to do that. I mean, that's something that I've harped on for years, and when reelected, I want to do that in that next term. We got to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Tim Spencer.
Well, one thing the public don't know, Miss Abby, is I got a drawing right here of REA. We're moving DP3 forward with what Ms. Steph said this past week. We're moving out forward with recycling and roads and bridges and shop area. Whenever all that's in REA, we're gonna tear all that down, and we're gonna build, we done discussed a new basketball facility up there, more softball courts, even gonna build a court for that Silas that has that recreation thing there for them. They're gonna build them a court for the handicapped people too. So we're in the plan, and it just don't happen overnight.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Steph Smith.
We, our daughter plays travel softball, so we are out of town a good bit. But it allows us to even look at, Tiger River Complex and the complex in Union that Timken really made just wonders out of down in Union, which I understand they had initially even offered that to our county, which is definitely devastating. But I think at the end of the day, we have to look at a we is greater than me persona. The whole issue, a lot of people tend to say, oh, well, that doesn't benefit me, that doesn't benefit my kids have nothing to do with that. We have to get out of that mentality. We have to have a we is greater than me approach. And at the end of the day, the question is, do you want to invest in our future? Do you want to invest in our kids? Whether that's your grandkids, whether that's your children, there are a wide variety of sports out there, and just the investment in our children and in our future, we absolutely have to move forward and make recreation a focus.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Quite a little.
The rec department's a very important part. We took 1.4 million of our accommodation money and remodeled the 4-field complex. We implemented a hospitality tax from which we said specifically it could only be used for capital improvements. Since then, we've created 2 new splash pads that are free of charge to all county residents. The hospitality tax is the key in this issue. And I know I was looking down there at a city councilman in the back. I was hoping that the city and the county could pull their money together to give them more. The rec department is a separate entity. They have their own board. The county appoints 2, the city appoints 2, and Blacksburg appoints 2, from which they gather 1 more. I'm saying we have to work together in this regard because the rec department brings young families to this community. If you have something to offer their kids, they'll come. And that's what I hope we can do going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Lyman Dawkins.
Yes, my family have always been involved in recreation around here. I play ball around these hills, my son and my grandkids. And I look at what Rocky had done a few years back with their recreation complex. And that was just an explosion around the income that it has brought in with tourism and other people just coming to be involved. And I think that same thing would happen here. And we do have to recognize that in the future, we have to do things to retain people here. Things like that, businesses look at stuff like this. Families are moving in, so if we want Gaffney to have a future of opportunity for our kids, for our grandkids, then we're gonna have to have things that draw other people to our area and our tax base will benefit from.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins. Donnie Harden.
Yeah, I think everybody on this panel is in favor of recreation and doing more. We need to have some recreation for people other than just folks who play ball, some for seniors, some for younger folks. Pickleball is a big sport right now. We don't have any facilities for that. We need other indoor sports. And you're right, these tournaments bring in money. It helps grow. They'll bring restaurants, they'll bring hotels. So yes, we do need to work to try to find more funds to increase the recreational facilities because those are quality of life issues.
We will now move to our 1-minute close, and we will begin with Donnie Harden.
Okay. We've talked about several issues tonight that need to be discussed a little further. We'll be short on time. So I want my main goal to be on county council so that I can serve the people. I'm getting close to my 30 years as manager of the Board of Public Works coming down. I think I've learned a lot of things there that could be brought to the county. Good business practices, and I think that that's what we need to be. We need to be a business at the county, not a political entity. While there's politics involved, you still need to take it out of day-to-day business. And I'd like to do that and try to serve the people in this county as a representative from District 3.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. David Smith.
I'd like to continue economic development, or infrastructure, recreation, and educated workforce. I did not mention earlier that I am the director of the Career Center, the Institute of Innovation in Cherokee County, and we work training kids every day. Kids have a skill, learn a skill, and then go out there and get a job And that's important. That's important to grow our county. It's important to keep our kids here and to give back. So, you know, I've enjoyed my time on council. You learn a lot, you know, when you get elected, and you really are, you're there for the people, you have to be. But we are put in tough spots sometimes, make some tough decisions, and you know, you can't take raising taxes like, oh, let's just raise taxes, they'll be all right. You can't, because, you know, it's the people's money, so we have to be good stewards of it. But I would, any District 6 folks out there listening now, appreciate your vote on June 11th.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Tim Spencer.
Well, I said a while ago, I explained to you about the chairmanship for 15 years. Whenever I first took chairmanship, Mr. Paris was the chairman. And everything, and I see Mr. McDaniel back here, everything at that time, we had 4 committees: judicial, finance, public works, and human service. Well, whenever everything, if Mr. McDaniel's the chairman of public works, if he came out of public works and wanted a trash truck, it didn't come before full council, it went back to finance. Well, if the chairman of finance didn't want that trash truck, it was shot down. But when I became chairman, I said, well, that's ridiculous. You know, you're gonna have 4 committees and one man making a difference in this county? So I changed everything. So now, if Mr. McDaniel wants a trash truck, when it comes out of public works, it goes directly to full council, and then we all vote on it.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Steph Smith.
I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here tonight. You know, an interesting point that I want to make is that reserves came up earlier. And, you know, people have said, oh, it's over 30 million, it's really closer to 31 million. From what I understand, close to 23 million of that is unassigned funds and reserves. And while that is a very big value to tout, I also have to look at it as simple as that would be like a family saying, I have $100,000 in my savings account extra, but yet they're not meeting the needs of their own constituents. Maybe their child needs shoes. They have that money in savings, but the needs aren't being met. And that's where I feel like I could really help serving on county council with that. You know, it's no secret that the last time that a female served on county council was close to 20 years ago, and I feel like I could bring perspective, compassion, hard work, and dedication to this county council. With that, I was voted best elected official twice for the Golden Feature Awards, and to me, that was my greatest compliment and validation at my effort in serving all of our constituents, that I was doing exactly what I need to be, and I want to do that same thing for the county council.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Wayne Little.
Well, there's one very important point. This county's growing, and when you grow, you have pains. There's only so much money to go around, and there's a lot of different needs. On council, we have to make the best decision going forward. We listen to the people of the community, and we try to react in that way. I just want to say, I am proud to serve on this council, and the decisions that we've made in the recent future have brought the county to the next level. We have put, we've given more space to the sheriff's office by consolidating DSS, probation and parole, and DJJ. We're looking to move our public works into another building to utilize and not let it go vacant. There's a lot of things going on, and that's a good thing in this community, and I hope we continue to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Lyman Dawkins.
Yeah, somewhere in the past, and it was in the Gaffney Ledger, I heard that Gaffney nickname was the Pearl of the People at one time. And that really resonates with me because I love this county. I love the people. I don't think there's any better place to stay. So I think we have a very good panel here, and I think we're blessed to have the type of people that care for Cherokee County on this panel, because it's not just about choosing a candidate, it's about choosing a vision, a path forward that resonates with our values and aspirations. So let's vote not just for promises, but for proven dedication, integrity, and a genuine connection to the people of Cherokee County. Together, let's ensure a brighter, stronger future for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dawkins, and that concludes our forum tonight. We want to thank all the participants in District 1, Lyman Dawkins; in District 3, Quade Little and Donnie Harden; in District 4, Tim Spencer, Stephanie Smith; District 6, David Smith. We thank all of you for being here. We thank all of you in our audience. We appreciate all of you being here. And also, we thank those of you who have listened on WZZQ tonight, and also those who have watched via the Facebook Live on the Gaffney Ledger. Again, we thank Limestone University for the use of their facility, the beautiful Hines and Riggins Center here on their campus. We also want to remind you that early voting for the primary election comes up on May 28th, and that primary takes place on June 11th from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. We encourage you to vote. On behalf of the Gaffney Ledger and WZZQ, thank you for listening, thank you for being here, and good night.